Hey, everybody. Okay. Um, Hi, Alexis and I are doing the meeting today. We're going to be talking about what it's like to be on the team. We're going to talk a little bit about our history with joining the team and how we like a few like funny things that have happened or like errors we've made and how we've corrected them. And then we'll open it up for questions. And if you have questions and you'd like to ask us to get like the perspective of an employee, feel free to drop them in the comments. But yeah, so hey, I'm Allie. I have been with Alyssa since the day she started her business. We were friends before she started her business. And at the same time, I was working on a direct sales business. So I sold lipstick. I sold lipstick and I had like this huge Facebook group and I would go live on there and I would do just like a bunch of marketing for the direct sales type of business. And I grew this really big, pretty successful business when we first became friends. So when she started to pivot into her bookkeeping and accounting firm, I would like tell her like, oh, I heard this new algorithm change. Like I was in the know on like all of the different social media stuff, right? So it was just a really fun, like we collaborated. And then she ended up, so I long story short, I fizzled out of the direct sales business. I just wasn't ready, or like I wasn't willing to put in that much time for, I mean, if you've ever been in direct sales, you know it's not really much pay. So I was done with that scene. And so Alyssa ended up asking me to help her with some social media stuff. And because I knew my way around groups and the social media marketing world. So she said, hey, I'll give you $50 and you go in. And I did like her group management stuff. So I would like respond to people's questions or I would accept them into the group. Just like little basic stuff like that. So yeah, I really had a decent background in like the marketing aspect, the social media marketing specifically. But I really didn't have any other skills like I had no idea how to do emails, like email marketing. I didn't know any of that. I didn't know half of the stuff that I know now. So I really came in and as like an unskilled worker. Like I didn't have a super diverse set of skills that I could offer. But I came in and I had the will to learn and I wanted to make it work. I sat on YouTube, like looking up how to do things. I mean, I taught myself so many cool things. Just just from having the will, to make it work. So it's just crazy, like how it, like life plays out. But I now I am technically head of marketing, but I also do all of our tech. So I taught myself how to do like all of the cool automations and tech that goes along with running a successful business. So I do all of that now. I help with some like customer service stuff and some sales stuff. Like I'll talk to some of our leads here and there. So yeah, I've really like built this pretty robust list of skills now. But I just think it's so funny how like we started at this like $50 a month. I'm going to throw you $50 a month for managing this Facebook group for me, and it has grown into like this huge, like I'm a full-time salaried employee now. So I just think it's so cool. One of the things, so it was pretty much Alyssa and I for, oh my gosh, I don't even know how, probably a few months at least. I don't really, do you remember, Alexis? It was a while. I don't know.
Yeah, just about that, because I came in at the beginning of January of 2020.
Oh yeah, so it was
About a year.
probably a year that it was Alyssa and I was just doing some like the Facebook management, kind of like general admin, like I would do our customer service email, stuff like that. And I was drowning. I was like Alyssa kept giving me more and more things because she wanted me to make more money, obviously. Like we were doing pretty good in the business. She needed help. I wanted to make more money. So she would offload all of these tasks to me. And I still had, in 2019, I had a 3-year-old at home, two to 3-year-old, and a 5-year-old, 6-year-old. So I was still very much in the thick of like toddler life, which is just crazy. And so I was drowning, and I wasn't used to having a full-time job, obviously. So I met Alexis at our kids did gymnastics together, which we knew each other beforehand, but it was never like an in-person. We were Facebook friends. And I knew her but then we finally met in person at this gymnastics class. And now I think it's so funny because the same way that I came into the business, Alyssa was like, hey, I'll throw you $50 to manage this Facebook group. I messaged Alexis and I said to her, hey, can you help me with something? And she thought that I was going to ask her to babysit her kids or my kids. I mean, like she thought that I was going to ask her to babysit my kids. And I was like, no, can you throw these, what was I having you do? Throw them into a spreadsheet? Like,
yeah, compiling information into a spreadsheet. She sent me
so like
over
data.
300 screenshots that I
That's
had to
right.
take all the information from.
I wrote it.
Okay. Yeah. So I was like, I'll give you $50 if you take all of these screenshots and put in all of this information into a spreadsheet. So it's just crazy. So I literally outsourced some of my work to Alexis. And it's just crazy. And then since then, Alexis has grown into, I mean, she pretty much came in the same way as I did. Like we both have grown and we've done so many different things, and our, I don't know, our skills are just like constantly growing. We're constantly adding new things to our plate.
Yeah, always learning, always up leveling ourselves, and trying new positions all the time. Like we've done every position in this business.
Yeah, which makes it really, really helpful to when we hire. We know all of the tasks, and we're able to really help people that are just joining our team. We know exactly how it is, and we know how to do the job and how to train them to do it. And so it does make it pretty easy when we like know what's going on. But yeah, I guess that's a little bit about me. I will give it over to Alexis. She can tell you now about her journey. And then from there, we'll go and we'll talk about kind of some of the things that we've screwed up along the way and how we've fixed those. So Alexis, you can take it away.
All right, so I'm Alexis. I've been here for almost 3 years. And it's been really fun because the business has done a complete transformation since I first came in. So we kind of like took what there was and multiplied it by 10 and ran with it. So it's been really fun. You're going to hear more about this in a little bit, but Alyssa didn't even know I was working for her. And I didn't know that she didn't know I was working for her. And like I said, you're going to hear about that in a little bit, but Allie just kept giving me more work. You know, I was doing a lot of spreadsheet stuff. I'm very good with organization, very good with technical, logistical stuff. So really just covering that end, and I just kept getting more and more, you know, monitoring the groups, doing emails, doing customer service. So really where Allie had started also. And then Alyssa started realizing that we were both like really hard workers, but that we had stronger suits in different areas. So she kind of started playing around with that a little bit and putting us in different positions instead of us doing the same things all the time, which is how my role as the client success coach came about. I was the first one our company had, you know, I really just built out that position as we saw fit. And now I really spend my time there and doing sales, so our consultations with clients coming in. And the third hat I wear over here is the event planning. So if you came to our event in Hilton Head, or you're planning to come to our event in Buffalo, I put a lot of work into that. My daughter's sitting here being rude. And if you aren't planning on coming to Buffalo, but you have any questions about it, or you want to be joining us, make sure you let us know in the chat so we can help you get there. But that's pretty much where I'm at right now.
It's a lot of fun. We have so much fun. We do like morning meetings every morning. Alexis and I do, not the whole team doesn't have to get on. But we do morning meetings that are so fun. So we've really grown as friends as well as employees and coworkers. But now to get into the fun part of this whole meeting, some of the things that we've messed up and how we've handled that. So I know it's hard. It's really hard to let go of some of the control of your business. It was even hard for me to like let go of some of my tasks. Like it's hard for me now to let go of some of my tasks because I know how to do them and I've been doing them, and it's hard to relinquish some of that control. 1 second.
We've been talking about this a lot, and it's really more of a mindset thing. And it's because we've had such a big part in growing and building this business, and such a big part directly with our clients, that the business is like a little baby that we have together. So like, that's what your business feels like to you. So it's really hard to hand a piece of it over and not be responsible for taking care of that, right? So it's something that we have all actually struggled with, and we're all in recovery of it. We are all trying to work through it now on delegating more and handing more stuff over. So I really think that falls into a mindset part there, is you just have to relinquish the control of that and know that it's going to be okay. And even if it's not okay at the very beginning, it is fixable. Everything can be changed or fixed. It's not, one mistake isn't going to burn your whole business down if someone doesn't do something the way you did, right?
Yeah, it is. It's hard, and it's hard when you know that you wouldn't have screwed it up, but your employee did. Like I'm an employee, like I'm an employee, but I think Alexis and I view ourselves more like entrepreneurs. Like we're definitely on the ground running with Alyssa as far as building this business. So like she said, we literally treat this business as our baby. Like this business has 3 moms. And
Yeah, Alyssa
like,
refers
all
to us
fostering it.
as entrepreneurs too. It's not just Allie and I'm making that up.
Yeah. Alyssa definitely does. Like she definitely says that, you know, we're entrepreneurs with her. So we understand, like we totally understand that it's hard to relinquish some control, and it's hard to have employees. But then we also have that employee background. So like we can kind of talk to that. But the first story I want to tell you is actually hilarious, because it was so stupid. Like it was just such a dumb thing to get. I mean, it was, anyways, let me tell you. So for Christmas every year, we send out gifts to our clients, and we usually do like some type of coffee mug or like tumbler or something like that. So it was 2020. Yes. So 2020, obviously we all know that places were having supply chain issues, and shipping times were a lot longer. So Alyssa wanted to send a mug, a sticker, and some candy to all of the clients. We got the mugs. We actually got them locally done, so we didn't have any issues with supply chain stuff. But the stickers were gonna be a bit of a wait, and we wanted to get them out as soon as possible. So I had this brilliant idea, and we had one of our employees who could make stickers. And I had this brilliant idea to just ask her to make the stickers. Well, I didn't communicate well enough with her. Because Alyssa wanted like vinyl stickers that people could like put on their laptops or like put on their water bottles. Yep. So, yep. So, I hadn't communicated that with our employee that made stickers. So we had to send these out. In order for them to be received by Christmas, like we had to get them ASAP and we had to send them out. So I get them in the mail, and they were beautiful. They were beautiful stickers. I still have them because we didn't send them out. They were paper stickers. Like they would have, like, if you put them on a water bottle, they would have just washed right off. They were just paper, like that you stick on a notebook, right? So obviously those weren't what Alyssa wanted. Alyssa told me specifically which site to go through for these stickers. So I was like, shit, I messed this up. Like I thought I was doing like this good thing because like the shipping time was going to be too long if I used that site, and it was way more expensive to use that site. So I totally thought that I was like doing this great thing. And then we get these stickers and they weren't what she wanted. And I was panicking. I like called Alexis. I was sobbing. I was like not in a good place. I was beside myself. I had just bought a Cricut. I had no idea how to use the fucking thing. And I went out to Michael's, bought all the stuff that I needed. And I literally stayed up until 5 a.m. making these stickers myself that were like waterproof stickers, so that I didn't have to tell her that I messed up. And so I made them all. And then I told Alyssa, and she was like, oh, I don't care that much about stickers. I was like, are you fucking kidding? I was like, okay.
What Allie failed to mention is the 8 hours of research we put into figuring out how to make waterproof stickers.
Yeah, I had no
and
clue how to make
trying
that.
to track down all the products last minute. I've had a Cricut for 15 years. I have 4 Cricuts, actually. It's sickening. So like we just had to actually find the stuff to do it because it was very last minute. So we took the entire day researching, checking local stores for stuff, and getting each other to stop crying is the entire day.
We kept it all from Melissa. We were like, we can't let her know. And the best part about it is when we told her, she was like, oh, like we could have just sent the paper ones out. She did not even care. Okay, well, I like these, thanks. But like, it wasn't that big of a deal. And we were like so beside ourselves because because it was my fault. Like I'm the one that thought I was like doing something so was so much cheaper and like, so I don't know. I was like being resourceful. Yeah. Is that the word?
It's now our favorite story to tell though, because we can all look back and laugh at it. But
Yeah.
that day, we were not laughing. Allie and I actually didn't even talk to Alyssa the entire day because we didn't want to slip up. We avoided her the whole day.
Yeah, yeah, it was not good. But lesson learned. First of all, communicate. Because if I just would have told her, she would have just been like, okay, don't worry about it. We'll do it next year or something. And second, do what Alyssa says, because I would have avoided the whole headache had I just done what she wanted and used the site. Oh my gosh, it's just one of the main themes, I think, with all of any issue within any company really is communication, because that's where I think most people fail, whether it's communicating properly or giving enough information, for your employees to do the job. I feel like the next story that we have to tell that's pretty much the main theme as well, right, Alexis? Like, so it just happened very recently, actually, and we had we do our marketing. We have it usually set out for the next week, so like we'll do it a week in advance, and then we'll have somebody schedule it, so it's taken care of. Well, it was a Monday, and we usually schedule all of our posts to go out at 8, so it was 9 a.m. I remember specifically because I was like, I looked at my phone and I was like, shit, it's an hour late, because Alyssa messaged and she was like, where's that post for today? Who was supposed to do it? And all of us like had thought that the other one was doing it. So long story short, it just didn't get done because I thought they were doing it. They thought I was doing it. And it was just this big pot of miscommunication once again. And it wasn't that big of a deal. I mean, Alyssa was mad at us, and because it needed to go out and it didn't, and it made us look bad that it didn't go out. So she wasn't happy about that, but I immediately posted it as soon as I figured it out. The main takeaway from that is over communicate all the time, and ask for help if you need it. So it's hard because I feel like none of us knew that it was an issue. So it was like, it's kind of hard to ask for help when you don't know that it's an issue. But had there been better communication, we would have been able to avoid that.
Very, very special.
And just to jump in on this, I think it's really important to over communicate at any level. So about a year ago, we had a really large team. We had like 9 of us. So we communicated a ton because we wanted to make sure everyone knew what they were doing at all times and that everything was taken care of, right? We've progressed back to a lot smaller of a team. And in that, it's kind of like, we're all kind of like, okay, well, I know what I'm responsible for. They know what they're responsible for. And because we have so much going on, we just kind of take care of our own stuff. But that's where the little things like that fall through, is because our communication isn't as open as it should be. So I think it's just super important to over communicate at every single level you're at. And it's pretty easy to do because honestly, the 3 of us talk constantly all day long. Like, they know every single thing that is going on in my life. I know every single thing that is going on in their life. So it's not like we don't talk, but we just need to make sure we bring that business stuff to attention when we need it. And if there's something we know we can't get done, really just asking someone else to jump in on it, or if we don't have time for it, really just being open to asking for that help.
Yeah. And it's nice because our team, Alyssa's really made this culture of like, we're going to mess up. Like, that's just inevitable, that as humans, we're going to mess up at one point or another. But we really have a pretty open policy where if something's going on, we just have to communicate. Like, that's all she asks, is that we just say like, hey, I'm having a really rough day and this is happening, and can you help me with that? If I don't know if she's ever talked about it publicly, but we have unlimited vacation as full-time employees. So we can technically take off whenever we need to for whatever reason. Now I don't think I've used a day since like June. I think was the last day. I think like Alexis and I will take off days here and there. And specifically it's like when our kids have stuff that like I went on field trips with my son and
Yeah.
stuff. So but I was just making that point because it's just so much easier. Like I don't have to feel guilty about having a bad day and like I don't feel good today. Like I need to take a day and just communicating that and asking for help. And there's not this culture of like you can't take a day off, you can't ask for help, or I'm not made to feel stupid if I'm asking for help, or I don't know, anything like that. So
And it really falls like across all areas of our life, because like if our kids are sick, Alyssa will say like, okay, well, what do you have today that absolutely needs done? Like, is that something that I can do or something that someone else can do for you? Right. So like we can tend to our children. Or like one day both my kids were sick and she was like, okay, well, do you want me to just order you dinner so you don't have to cook? So just having like support in all the areas, I think helps us do better work in the business.
yeah.
But one of my favorite stories to tell about like just human error is it was like 2 years ago. So I was still pretty new on the team. I'd only been here for a few months and I was in charge of sending out our emails. And our process is like once you get the email done, our old process would be it got sent to Alyssa and Alyssa checked it to make sure it was good to go out. That there were no errors in the copy, that she liked the picture we used, all of that, right? So I had done an email, sent the test to her, and she responded. So it went to our email and it said, "This is great. Go ahead." Well, I hadn't seen that another email from her had come in from that same email, like 5 minutes later, actually wanting the subject changed because I saw the first email, so I sent it out. Well, after it sent, I saw her second email and I panicked because I'd only been on the team for a few months, and like all my previous work experience, if you did something wrong, like I used to be scared that I'd get fired, right? Like you put the wrong order in. I have a lot of experience as a bartender and a server. So like you put the wrong order in, or a customer waits 2 minutes too long or anything, like, you're in trouble, you're getting yelled at, you're losing shifts, right? Or just getting fired because they can do that here. So I had this like huge panic and I messaged her right away and said, "I'm so sorry, I didn't see your second email come through. That went out with the other subject." And her response was, "Alexis, don't worry. We're all humans." So it's kind of just like reassuring to have that, to know that like even if you do mess up, everything is fixable, nothing is permanent, nothing is going to destroy us, right? And I think it's important for your team to know that, because they're not you and they're not going to do things the way you do all the time, and they're not going to do things as perfectly as you all the time.
Yeah. And nothing's like life or death. Like
Right.
everything is, for the most part, everything is fixable. Might take some money, like when I order the wrong stickers, but for the most part, everything can be fixed. And I think another point to bring up that is, I don't know, helpful or just something to like think about is, radical responsibility. So a lot of times when things go wrong, number one, whether it's Alexis or I, will straight up say like, "Oh, that was me. I thought that it was done and I didn't do it," or whatever. So we take radical responsibility for messing up or missing something or not doing something. But then also Alyssa also takes radical responsibility for communication. So she'll say, oh, I didn't communicate that I needed it out at 6 p.m. exactly. So that's my fault. But just know for next time that I'd like these emails to go out, or, you know, whatever the case may be. But radical responsibility on both ends. Everybody's going to mess up and everybody's going to make mistakes. It's just human nature to do so. But taking responsibility for those mistakes and working through them together is 100% of the time gonna make a better outcome in the long run.
And it's refreshing to have a boss who, when something goes wrong, they look at themselves too, to say like, did I do something wrong here? Or is there something I could have done better here? How could I have helped the situation go smoother? Instead of just saying like, you totally screwed up, or you did a terrible job, or anything like that, you know?
Mommy.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Yeah, Brenda said that creates a productive work environment. It really does. It really helps. It makes it so much easier to feel comfortable on a team and feel like you're valued as an employee when the CEO or your boss actually takes responsibility. Yeah, and also makes you more, like, personally, it makes me feel I don't know, I
Cared
guess,
about, like you're cared about.
yeah, it makes me feel like I'm cared about, yep, valued. But
Another
also, like,
thing,
taking responsibility for my own actions makes me feel just like a better person. Like, I don't want to always be shifting blame, and like,
yeah.
so it almost forces me to be like an elevated person, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And another thing, this is more so something that Alyssa does, but it's along the lines of having open communication on our team, is she does one-on-ones with us decently often. Not so much lately because we've all just been so crazy with so much going on. But what she does on that is she'll talk to us about what we have going on, what's working for us, what we feel is not working, and she'll ask, are there any tasks you have right now that you don't want to be doing? And that's a pretty hard question to answer when you're like, you don't want to tell your boss or something you don't want to be doing. But I did have to tell her that, like, I was like, I don't want to do emails. I hate doing them. I have pretty bad anxiety. And I realized that it was heightened doing those, like trying to triple check everything before they got sent out, just trying to check every single thing to make sure it was right. And guess what she did? She took it right off my plate within like 2 weeks, I think. And then another time I had to tell her that I had too many calls going on, that I couldn't handle my other workload. And it wasn't that I couldn't handle it, but I knew she didn't want us working 16-hour days trying to handle calls and then our actual work. So again, she was like, okay, well, I'll start taking some of the calls. And she brought on another coach to take some of the calls too, so that my days weren't completely filled of calls that I had to work at night. So I think that's just really important for someone who is the business owner, who has a team. I think it's important to talk to your team that way and make sure that they know that even if if there's something they don't like doing, that you appreciate hearing that feedback, and that if you have the capacity, you're willing to change that for them. And I'll tell you what, like the second I got the emails off my team, or off my plate, I was so much happier because I didn't realize how much they were actually bothering me.
Yeah, it's huge. And it goes back to communication, right? Like, just communicating with your team and being open to hearing their feedback. And it might not be something that you can do right away. Like, it just so happened that we had an employee that we could offload those emails to. So it happened pretty quick for Alexis on that. But like some things, specifically like the calls that she was talking about, she had to wait a few weeks at least to get somebody trained on them. And she had to do the training for somebody to take over some of that stuff. And I think it's important just to communicate that with your employee. Like, I understand that you don't like it, and I want you to love your job. And I want you, because loving your job, obviously you're going to be more productive and you're going to be more loyal and stick with me, through all the stuff. but just having that over communication with like, hey, I will get you off of this, but this is what we need to do first, is a great way to just work through that, with your employees. Make it just feels like you're valued so much more as an employee when you're kept in the loop on stuff like that.
And you might be able to, like, once you're hearing those problems, be able to give them some advice that they didn't think of. Because what Alyssa said was, okay, well, let's start with cutting your calendar down, like your open availability for calls. Let's cut it down so that your whole day can't get scheduled, right? Which I never really thought of that because I was just trying to field everyone and their success calls and everything. But she's like, cut it down and they'll start being spread out, but we'll be training someone in the meantime. So even if you know their problems and it's not something that you can completely solve right away, you might be able to help them think of something. And same thing, as soon as I got not my day full of calls completely, I was a lot better mentally. I'm sure you guys know what it's like to be on calls from 8 to 5 or 10 to 5 every day and then still have other work to get done. You are not in the best headset.
Yeah. Can you think of any other stories that we have?
Um,
I think for the most part, everything that we have messed up comes down to communication.
Yeah.
So like I hope your biggest takeaway from this training is just to over communicate everything. Over communicate when you need help, over communicate what you're expecting of your employee. Just over communicate everything.
Yeah, and if they're having trouble with any of it, or if it's not getting done in the timeline, take a look at yourself and how you communicated it to them. That way both sides are, like Ellie said before, are responsible. Or at least trying to be, like, seeing if you said something wrong. Another part that Allie and I do is when we have other team members is that we manage those team members. So then, like, all the radical responsibility falls on us, where we're like, well, no, I should have said this to you, or I should have told you I needed it by this time, right? So it really does just come down to communication, and you'll know what's the best way to communicate with your team by how you work together. Ours is through video chats. That's how we communicate with each other for every single thing. We have 32 video chats a day, but it doesn't matter. We get our stuff done. I just thought of one more thing. Oh, the other thing I thought of was knowing your employees' personality and professional, what are they called, Ellie? Personal and professional.
The wealth dynamic thing.
Yeah, like, what's it called though? Like your professional personality, I guess.
Yeah.
So your professional personality, that helps with knowing how they communicate, how they learn better, how they retain information, what positions they perform well in. That was something that we've done quite a few different tests on our team, and every single time we do it, it's like a deeper dive, and it really just solidifies the direction that we're going in.
Yeah.
But it really makes sure that you guys work well together too, because sometimes you might have someone with a stronger personality who's really just not willing to listen to you or willing to do things the way you're asking, and that comes down to just be more of an issue. And it's not really communication, it's just they have a different type of personality than an ideal employee for you would have.
Yeah, there's so many. We've taken a few different tests, and I can say that without a doubt, they have helped us grow as a team so much, because as a certain personality type, you don't understand how or why some people do the things that they do.
Mhm.
So you will be like, why would they even think that was what I want? Right? Like it doesn't make sense to you at all. But just knowing that like that's how they learn, or that's how they communicate, or that's how they I don't know, show gratitude, any of those types of traits will help you so much. Just like understanding and being able to relate to or get along with other employees. So they're super, super helpful.
And there's also a ton of resources out there once you know your employees' personality types. For example, Alyssa's an 8 and Ellie and I are 2s, which are very, very opposite end of the spectrum.
specifically for the Enneagram.
Yeah. So there are tons of resources that say like how to communicate with an 8 so that they will understand your point of view, or this is how an 8 that's an employee needs to be spoken to. So there's a ton of resources out there once you know that information.
Yeah, it's actually something that we ask like all of our new hires to do before we hire them. Like, let's just see how well you'll mesh with the team before we hire you. It is. Mandy said it's like a business love language. It is. I think that was, I mean, I can't think of any other things besides really communication being the key. But it's called the Enneagram test, Maura. I'll type it in the chat. But if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in. If you're on the Zoom, you can drop them in the comments. If you're on live, you can drop them in the chat. Yeah, Tiffany says she has her team take Enneagram after they get hired too. It's so helpful. It's so helpful to know what people are. And Tiffany, Alyssa, and I went to a conference together that was awesome in 2020. And we did our Enneagrams there. And ever since then, we're like, Alyssa and I are like obsessed with doing these Enneagram things. So we've like made everybody do them. Maura says she's totally going to do this because she's hiring her sister-in-law and she wants to make sure that we're set up to communicate properly. That's awesome. Yeah, do it. So the Enneagram is a good one. And if you're on Facebook, it's spelled ENNEAGRAM. Enneagram. And then the other one's called the Wealth Dynamic. And that one, the Enneagram's free. The Wealth Dynamic is, you have to pay for that one, but I don't think it's crazy expensive. But that one was really cool to show people's strengths and weaknesses in a work environment, and like what roles they should really fulfill, and like what roles they're meant for.
It gave you your 2 backup, or I think they called it supporting profiles. So it actually gave you like your top 3 and how they worked together. And it showed you who you need in what area to be a supporter for you. So it actually, as funny as it is, Allie, Alyssa, and I were all in 3 different roles, but we were each other's main supports. Like it literally said, you need a Lord and a trader. Trader in TRADER, not
Yeah,
trade.
like
Trader.
trade.
Like yeah.
Yeah.
Needed to specify.
Okay.
But we really enjoyed that one. And they do have coupon codes sometimes. So you can get it cheaper.
Yeah, that one was really cool. Tiffany dropped one in the Facebook chat. It's called truity.com, and that has a bunch of personality tests. She says she uses that one. Leslie says she also does multiple personality tests on her team. It's just so helpful. Tiffany, I'm so glad you're here too. Like trying to keep up with the comments in here and on Facebook. Feel like I'm doing a good job. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions for us? I mean, I feel like we are a pretty good example of being not only an employee, but also kind of a leader of employees. So we can kind of talk on a few different topics. So yeah, if you guys have questions, feel free to drop them. Of course. Thanks, Mandy. Mandy says we're rock stars. Yeah, we won't sit on here and bore you guys for too much longer. But how did everybody like this? Was it fun? I
Yeah.
had fun.
How
Should
we
Alexis and I take over more often?
We could deliver some real goodies.
Yeah. And that says, do you guys onboard staff? Yeah. Yeah, we actually are onboarding a new employee right now. So
In 13 minutes.
yeah. Yeah, Alexis has a call with her in a couple minutes. So yeah, that's we do a lot of onboarding stuff. She's gonna get on with Alexis right now and do a bunch of on some tasks that she's gonna be in charge of now. So that's exciting. Leslie says she does the positive intelligence saboteurs test on enlightening and how they deal with things. Oh. That one sounds cool.
Yeah, that one sounds really cool.
Oh, so enlightening on how they do things. Yeah, that one sounds really cool. How does that process look like? Onboarding staff? So really, so it's, how does that look like, Alexis?
It's a lot of hands-on for us. So we really work closely with them for the first few weeks, meet every day, make sure that they're not struggling anywhere, show them exactly how we do things, but let them know if there's a way that they can do it where it's still getting done, obviously, like
Yeah.
that's what works for them. This is something that we teach our clients in our mastermind, so I don't want to go into too many details on it because this is something that is in our higher level mastermind. But if you have any questions about that, we can answer those too.
Yeah, I mean, we have 2 weekly calls that we do with all of us every week. Mondays and Wednesdays, we all meet at 10 in the morning. And so like we make sure that they get introduced on those calls. And then from there, we pretty much do like private training with them and to get them up to speed with what tasks we want them to be doing. And then we just make sure that communication is always open. So like we're always checking in, trying to at least, sometimes it's hard because we also have a lot on our plates. So sometimes it's hard to like always be checking in, but we want to make sure that they know that they can reach out to us if there's any problems. So we just try to make sure that everybody is feeling good and feeling comfortable in their role. But yeah, we just try to make it a pretty seamless process. But all right, guys, I think we're going to take over again because this was fun. If you enjoyed it, drop in the comments that you liked it so that Alyssa knows to bring us back on.
Yeah, or if there's anything that you would like to see us talk about from our perspective, put that in the comments in here on Facebook, and we will try and bring that to you.
All right, guys. It was awesome talking to you. Sarah says she's loved it. Makes me know what my team can just do stuff now on their own as well. Yeah. Yeah. And trust is a huge thing, right? It's hard to trust somebody at first, but just a little bit of trust and over communicate what you want. And I think you'll be good to go. Alrighty, guys. It was so awesome chatting with you. We'll see you around for sure because we talk to most of you every day. So awesome. Bye, guys.
Bye.